What's up, guys? Welcome to another live stream of ours. We're starting a little bit late, just figuring out some technical difficulties, but hopefully everyone is kind of settled in. I already see some people on Facebook, on YouTube as well, and we are live on Instagram at the same time as well. So we're streaming on all three platforms. Before we kind of get started on today's topic, which by the way is talking about some tips on the best ways to pre-treat your t-shirts for DTG, wanted to just make sure that everyone can hear and see me okay. So give a quick thumbs up to this video if you are able to hear and see me okay, just to make sure that everything is working fine before we get started. I will be kind of going back and forth on Facebook and on YouTube on my computer here, and then I'll be checking some of the Instagram questions on the phone. So I already see that there's some people chiming in on some of the comments on Facebook. About 50 people in here, and then on YouTube also some people are joining in. Kim Artman says hi on YouTube. Hi Kim. All right. On Facebook. All right, seems like sound is good. Corey McCullough, 2 thumbs up. Can see and hear great. Awesome, sounds good. Great. I can see and hear you. Awesome, great. So if you're joining us on any of these platforms, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Instagram, we'll be kind of fielding some questions there after we kind of go through today's topic. But since everything seems to be working fine now, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of get started. For those of you that kind of don't know how this format works, really we just kind of spend about an hour of our time here every month, and this is actually the second time we're doing this month. To just answer any questions you guys might have about the apparel decoration industry. And today, on top of that, we're going to be going over, in particular, today's topic, to go over some tips and tricks on how to pre-treat your t-shirts for direct-to-garment printing, for those of you that are in the direct-to-garment world or are looking to get started with that side of the business. But before we jump into that, as always, we have some announcements to make. First and foremost, for the month of March, we are having a March Madness sale. For those of you that don't, that haven't followed us or have heard about it, we started that last Friday, and that goes on till April 8th. So next Friday is when it ends, and that's a March Madness sale on all of our machines, including the embroidery machines, including the direct-to-garment printers, which I'll talk about in just a bit. But as you can see on your screen there, with the March Madness embroidery sale, we do have 0% financing for as low as $130 per month on our single head machines, and free shipping. And depending on which model of machine you get for the embroidery machines, you can also get free digitizing software upgrade. So if you purchase a multi-head machine, for example, you get upgraded to the highest tier of our Chroma digitizing software, which is Chroma Lux, and that's a $1,400 value in just the upgrade. And then also, if you purchase like a single head machine, a commercial single head machine, you do get upgraded to Chroma Plus, which is the second tier of Chroma. You do get a little bit more features versus Chroma Inspire, which by the way comes with your machine as a kind of an entry level starting point for digitizing. So, free shipping, the 0% financing, as well as the free Chroma upgrades, definitely some big incentives to kind of get in on the sale that ends next Friday. We already have a ton of inquiries since we launched it last Friday, and our sales team is very busy on the floor just talking to customers and kind of getting them into the financing that they need and the different machines that they're looking for. All right, so that's kind of on the embroidery side. On the direct-to-garment side, which ties in well with our topic for today about pretreatment, which obviously is an essential part of the direct-to-garment printing process. But if you're interested to get into DTG printing, we also have a sale on our DTG printers. The Ricoh RI1000 and the Ricoh RI2000, payments as low as $235 per month with 0% financing and free shipping up to $800, which can save you quite a bit with these large format printers. In addition to that, not only do you get some extra inks that are included, especially extra white ink, which you'll probably be using the most in your DTG printing process. You'll also be getting some free cleaning cartridges along with that, so you can have everything you need to not only run your business and print t-shirts, but also have the supplies that you need to make sure that your printer is maintained properly. If you need to go on a 1 week break or several weeks of a break, and you're not using your printer, you can use the cleaning cartridges and kind of keep them in there to make sure that your your machine is still maintained properly and nothing is clogging in the lines, and that it's ready for you when you come back, from that break to use it. We basically have everything in this package for you, including the heat press, including all the pretreatment liquid and the Wagner spray gun, everything you need to kind of get started in the DTG printing process. We have that for you in this package as well, along with the maintenance supplies that you'll need to make sure that your machine is being maintained properly. All right, so that both of that goes on till 6 p.m. on April 8th. So do remember to take advantage of that if you're in the market, or you're looking to add on to your existing business with another apparel decoration method. Whether you're doing printing right now, maybe you want to add on embroidery, or vice versa, you're doing embroidery and wanting to kind of add on DTG printing. That's something to keep in mind to take advantage of that sale if you're looking to expand your business as well, not only just getting started. All right, so that's kind of the announcements there on the March Madness sale that we have going on. And at the same time, we do have a sale going on our online store as well on shop.ricoma.com. We do have the 10% off on heat presses and sewing machines, and 20% off on chroma upgrades. So not only, if you're getting, especially on the chroma upgrades, if you're buying a new embroidery machine, right, during this time, you're not only getting the chroma upgrade free of charge, but you can, if you want to upgrade even further, say like if you are upgrading from Chroma Inspire to Chroma Plus when you buy a single head machine, when you buy a commercial single head machine, not only do you get the upgrade free, but you can also upgrade even further for 20% off. So it kind of stacks on those two discounts, kind of stack on top of each other, and you're able to upgrade to Chroma Lux, the highest tier, at a 20% discount. If you already have Chroma because you have a machine of ours, you can also upgrade your existing license with 20% off on the shop as well, with the coupon code RIC20, I believe, right? Can you pull that up on the screen again? Okay, so 20% off Chroma upgrades, and I think it's already discounted on the shop, so no need for any codes. And then for the heat presses and sewing machines, it's going to be 10% off on the shop as well. Okay, and free shipping on all the heat press and sewing machine orders. And then if you're ordering anything else like hoops and accessories, for any orders over $1,000, you also get free shipping on the shop. All right, so that's going on until April 8th as well, so that's the same timing as the March Madness sale. So if you're looking to add on any accessories and things like that during this time, this will be a good chance to take advantage of that before the sale ends. Especially with the chroma upgrades, a lot of people want to get more flexibility and control over their digitizing. And if you have Chroma Inspire, this will be a good time to upgrade to the next tier or the highest tier of Chroma for 20% off. That can save you easily like $200 to $400 depending on which tier you upgrade to. Alrighty, so that's the kind of the announcements for the sales that's going on till next Friday, and then for today's giveaway, it's kind of related to the topic that we're talking about, which is tips on pretreatment today. But essentially, we will be giving away a mini Viper pretreatment machine that's valued at close to $1,500. Thanks to our sponsor over there at Viper. They're giving away this Viper Mini, which can help you. Instead of using the Wagner spray gun that comes with your DTG package, you can use this Viper Mini to kind of pre-treat on your t-shirts and things like that. So that's close to a $1,500 value. A lot of people like to use that just to be more precise with it, and not have to use a spray gun. But a spray gun is kind of an entry-level way and an easy way to get started if you don't have the budget to kind of pay for something that's more expensive. But if you're the lucky winner of the Viper Mini today, then this can save you close to $1,500 on getting this machine shipped to you. All right, so I think that's it for kind of the housekeeping things. I don't think I missed anything here. Let me just quickly check. Okay, so that's kind of the housekeeping things, and then we'll kind of jump in on the topic for today about the tips on pretreatment. And by the way, the giveaway we will announce that at the end of the live stream. So as long as you're here, either on Facebook, YouTube, or on Instagram, as long as you're here and respond when we announce the winner, we'll go ahead and get your information and ship that to you. All right, so the topic for today about the tips on pre-treatment, it kind of ties in well with what I just mentioned on the giveaway. By kind of just a show of hands or comments down in the comment section, I kind of wanted to get a gauge for how many people in the comment section actually are doing DTG right now, because I know a lot of our audience obviously followed us since the embroidery days, so a lot of them do embroidery. I kind of wanted to know which part of our audience focuses on direct to garment printing, or are just started on DTG printing, so that this topic might be relevant to those people, or if you're people that are looking to or interested in getting started with DTG. I kind of want to know that as well, just to kind of gauge the type of audience that we have for today. So if you don't mind chiming in the comment section below, whether you're on Facebook, on Instagram, or on YouTube, and just let me know if you are currently doing DTG. Okay, so Nelda Shipman on Facebook says me. So she's doing DTG right now. And Francine is looking to buy a machine now to get into DTG. And then Corey McCullough do both embroidery and DTG. Beth Riggs, RI2000, start this week and have the MT1501. Great, so you have both the embroidery and the DTG setup there. Okay, I do DTG from Pod Platform. Okay, that's from Mita. And Gregory, not yet, something I am looking into. All right. Amy says using sublimation printer but looking into DTG. Okay, I'm looking into it. Started doing sublimation from Melissa Leon. Okay. Jancy says I am Rico RI1000. Recently started. Jason Alexander just ordered an embroidery and DTG printer, so we'll be new to it, but in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Great. Al Welch just started DTG. I have a Rico RI1000. I need to update the production server. Okay, so I can access to DTF. Okay, so yeah, I have a question about how to upgrade to DTF. Yeah, just email support, and they can give you the steps on how to update the firmware to get access to DTF. Okay, so quite a bit. There's a lot of people that kind of do a little bit of both, embroidery, sublimation, and many thinking about getting into DTG, so this might be helpful for you just to kind of get your feet wet in some of the pre-treatment knowledge that you'll come across anyways when you start the process. And then quite a few of you actually are doing DTG right now, some with the Rico RI1000, some with other machines. But great. But this pre-treatment process that I'm about to talk about, and the couple of tips that I'll be sharing is really able to be used on all sorts of, it's universal across all different machines. It doesn't matter what machine you have, you do need to pre-treat as just a typical part of the overall DTG process. I kind of compare it to like knowing your tensions in embroidery, right? It's like, it doesn't matter what embroidery machine you have, every embroidery machine deals with threads, and you need to kind of know how to set your tensions, and just a necessary part of the overall process. So pre-treating is also kind of similar to that. It's a necessary part of the DTG process, and when done well, you're going to have very vibrant designs and good prints, and when done improperly, that's when you're going to have issues. And so it's kind of this thing where nobody wants to really kind of do it, but it's a necessary part of the overall process. So it's important to kind of master it and know the kind of some hurdles to overcome when doing pre-treatment, so that you can make sure your quality of designs are printed out properly. So I'll kind of be just sharing some tips here, and feel free to chime in down below if you kind of currently use this already, or you already know about this tip, or that you've ran into a similar problem, because you didn't do this, but now you've learned. Just anything you guys want to share, I'll be happy to kind of interact as I kind of see some comments come in, all right? So first and foremost, one thing that a lot of people kind of misunderstand about pre-treatment process is that they think that they need to kind of like, drench the whole shirt in pretreatment liquid. That's kind of a rookie mistake that a lot of people make. They don't know exactly how much pretreatment liquid is needed on different types of shirts. So the first tip that I would give everyone on this is that you want to dampen the t-shirt that you're working on, but not drench it. Okay, so it doesn't matter what type of material you have. The overall rule of thumb is you want to make sure that it's damp enough and that it has good coverage, but not drench it. There are times where I've seen people kind of overspray on the pretreatment process, and even when they go and press the t-shirt to get the pretreatment cured, they have to press it a lot of times because you can just see like the liquid just dripping out even from the heat press because they overcoated the actual t-shirt. So just want to make sure that one, you are not overcoating it, but two, you only need to pre-treat in the area that you're printing on. So if you're printing a full front design, then yes, you need to kind of pre-treat the entire front of the shirt. But if you're just doing a left or right chest logo on the DTG, you don't have to pre-treat the entire front of the shirt. It's only in the area that you need to spray on, right? That you need to print on, and just making sure that you don't overcoat and drench it in pre-treatment liquid is going to help you kind of make sure that that one, you don't waste any pretreatment liquid because they do cost money, but also that it kind of saves you time in the curing process, so you're not having to cure multiple times just to get it dry, because you can't have a wet t-shirt going into the DTG printer when it's printing. You want it to make sure that it's dry and that the pretreatment is cured into the fabric, and to do that you want to make sure that you dampen it, and then afterwards it cures it. It fuses with the fabric, and so it's going to print well. If you over drench it and it's still damp when it goes into the printer, then you're going to have other issues. All right, so that's the first tip that I would say. And then the second one is the different types of material that you pre-treat on is also very important. The material actually matters. So for example, for cotton t-shirts, it's much more absorbent, right? So it's able to absorb the pre-treatment liquid much better. So you don't have to pre-treat. So you do have to pre-treat a little bit more on cotton t-shirts because they absorb it so well. So you want to make sure that it still has a layer on top of it, because your ultimate goal is to make sure that your pre-treatment liquid kind of sits as a thin layer on top of your fabric, and then when it goes to cure it, then it can kind of it leaves that little bit of a layer on top, so that when you print it, the ink is able to infuse with the pre-treatment liquid quite well. But because cotton t-shirts and cotton materials, they tend to absorb moisture much better, you're gonna have some of that pretreatment liquid already sink into the cotton. So you're gonna have to spray a little bit more versus other types of fabrics to make sure that you have that single layer, thin layer of coating when you're done with it. And on the other hand, if you're talking about polyester types of fabrics, they're less absorbent to moisture. So when you do spray it, it's already gonna leave that layer on top. It's not gonna be absorbed into the fabric, so you don't have to pre-treat as much on polyester shirts. And just a side note there, not only does the quantity vary on the type of garment you're pre-treating on, but the actual pre-treatment liquid that you're using is going to vary also, because when you're using kind of like pre-treating on dark poly, you're going to be using a different type of pre-treatment liquid than if you're pre-treating on like white cotton, right? So it's the color of the fabric, the material of the fabric that will not only affect how much pre-treatment liquid you need to spray on, right? Again, with cotton, you need to spray on a little bit more so to compensate for the cotton's ability to absorb the pre-treatment much better. And then for polyester, you pre-treat a little bit less because it's less absorbent of the pre-treatment that you're spraying on. But not only that, does the volume of the pre-treatment liquid vary, but also keep in mind that the type of pre-treatment liquid is also going to vary based on the color of your shirt and the type of material that you're actually using. All right, so that's the second tip that I would mention. With regards to the third tip, right, I kind of slightly touch upon this on my previous point about considering your colors, right? So when you're pre-treating your fabrics, you want to make sure to take into account the color that you're doing. Light color fabrics are going to require less pre-treatment than dark color fabrics, because dark is going to be a little bit harder to print on. You have to lay down the white first. When you're printing down using the DTG printer, you have to lay down the white ink first on a dark garment, and so pre-treating not only is going to be a little bit different, but it's also going to require a little bit more pre-treatment liquid than a light color garment. So that's kind of the other part that I kind of mentioned. it's also because darker garments, it's more likely to show through your print, right? Imagine printing on a dark background. Because it's dark, it's going to show through. It might seep through your actual design if you don't have enough pretreatment liquid coated on there. So making sure that you actually pretreat enough for darker garments is going to be important. Not only using the right pretreatment liquid, but also pretreating enough so that you can make sure that it has good coverage, and then your print, when you do print it, your background of your garment doesn't actually show through your actual print. All right. Let me know, guys, if you have any questions about what I mentioned, and feel free to chime in. And after this, we'll kind of go into a Q&A session on just anything you guys want to talk about on the pretreatment process, or on the embroidery process, or anything that you have questions on about what I mentioned. Feel free to chime in as we go. And then as we kind of wrap this up, I'll kind of go through all the questions and start answering them. All right, and then lastly, the fourth and final tip that I'll mention on the pretreatment process is you want to take into consideration how you want your final design to look. So the amount of pretreatment liquid that you put on is also going to affect how your final design is gonna come out, right? So what I mean by this is this: the more pretreatment you put on when you go and print it, it's gonna have this more opaque look. It's not gonna look as transparent. It's gonna be very solid because you're having more pretreatment on there, so the ink is gonna infuse with it better. It's gonna have this more opaque look. If you're looking for a more distressed look, right, or like a vintage look, some people opt in to use a little bit less pretreatment liquid. So with the same design, without altering the actual design, your final printout is going to be a little bit more distressed and looks a little bit more faded, I guess. So obviously, if you're looking for a solid print and an opaque look, then you need to have more pretreatment liquid to make sure that it comes out properly. If you're going for that more distressed and vintage look, some people do opt in to have a little bit less pretreatment liquid. With the same design, it's able to achieve a different look. So that's just something to keep in mind, and an extra side note there, an extra tip for you to keep in mind, that not only are you using pretreatment liquid for good quality prints, but you can vary your pretreatment liquid volume to be able to achieve a little bit of a distressed look, if you will, on your final printout, because you don't have as much ink kind of infused onto the surface of the fabric with the pretreatment liquid if you don't spray as much. All right, so that's kind of all I have for the tips. Now I'll kind of go through some of the questions you guys might have. Again, feel free to chime in about any of the questions that or any of the topics that we talked about regarding the sales that are coming up, or regarding the pretreatment process that I mentioned. I can answer those, or I can answer something completely different, but just wanted to kind of give you guys this little bit of tidbit and tips for the first 15 to 20 minutes, and then we kind of jump into any Q&As and anything else that you guys want to talk about for the rest of the session. Okay, all right, so let's see on Facebook here. Okay, so Nathaniel Acosta asked, I just bought a 2-head embroidery machine. Is DTG easy to learn like embroidery? Well, I would say it's nothing is easy to learn. You have to put in the effort, and embroidery does have a learning curve. But I would say it's a little bit, it's different, right? I don't think it's comparable. It's two completely different processes. So there's no similarities in the process, but it's just it's just a set of process that you need to learn. I would say that with embroidery, it might be a little bit more hands-on, given that you need to kind of deal with the tension. You need to kind of have. I feel that with embroidery, there's a little bit more moving parts, because you need to actually thread the machine, and you're dealing with actual physical threads, right? Versus the printer, it's kind of like once you have your garment hooped and your settings and your rip software all set, and you just send it to the machine. All the machine does, you just go up there and press start. There's not really a lot of adjustments that might need to be made on the actual machine. Versus on embroidery, I mean, you're talking about for different garments, you might have different thicknesses, and so you might have to adjust the pressure foot height. That's a manual adjustment. If you have to adjust the tension for particular types of threads, like metallic threads that are more brittle, you might need to lower the tension. If you're doing like 3D puff designs, there's different types of needles that you need to use that you need to change out, and different thicknesses of foam, and therefore it affects your pressure foot height. So like all of these things are interconnected with embroidery, and I feel like embroidery might have a little bit more moving parts where you need to make adjustments for certain types of designs or fabrics, versus on DTG. It's kind of like you just make sure that your design is done, and then you rip it and you send it to the machine, and you place the platen on, you hoop the t-shirt onto the platen, and then you press start, and then kind of like any like desktop printer, it just goes ahead and print. I think the only difference is probably with direct-to-garment printing, there's a little bit more maintenance involved versus embroidery. With embroidery, the maintenance is not as intensive, I would say, because you don't have to make sure that the head is clean and all that stuff, and make sure that your machine is on so that it circulates the white ink so it doesn't get clogged. I would say that with DTG, there's a little bit more maintenance, but I think the learning curve might be a little bit shorter, because it's kind of like it's a little bit more hands off once you kind of had the design ready, and you just go ahead and press print. With embroidery, it's a little bit more hands on, because you do need to set your tensions, you need to hoop it properly, you need to set your backing right, you need to set your needle types right, and all of those things. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, but both have its perks, and it's all a learning process, but it can be mastered with the right setup and education, and putting in the time to learn how to do it. Cindy Carey says, this is concerning my EM1010. Is it possible to purchase an extended warranty for our machine? So right now, there's no extended warranty option that's available, but we are actually working on something that probably would be launched before the end of the year, I would say, on extended warranty for our products. We're kind of still figuring out the cost structure and like what that will cost and the time frame and all that stuff. Jacob Molina asked a great question. Is DTG faster or easier, less work than screen printing? So that's also it depends on how you look at it type of answer. So one thing about screen printing is that once it's set up, all right, once it's past the setup stage, it can pump out huge amount of volume. I mean, you're talking about hundreds and thousands of shirts in a couple of hours, right? That's the good part, because especially if you haven't auto press, you just kind of hoop all the shirts, and then it just rotates, and it pushes the screens on its own to be able to print. So you can really pump out hundreds and thousands of t-shirts once you're past the setup stage. However, that's the catch, right? With screen printing, you have a pretty lengthy setup process. You need to burn the screens, you need to wash the screens, and then get everything set up on the design. You also have to have like different layers of the design, because it's almost like it's different screens, right? And every screen, it kind of pushes a different color. So setting up the screens, it's really the time-consuming part of it, and also kind of the messy part of it also, because with the paint and stuff, with the liquid, it's kind of messy. But once you're past the setup stage, it just goes super fast, and that's why with screen printers, it's like they charge a huge minimum. You won't be able to order like 10 t-shirts from a screen printer, right? Or 10 t-shirts and doing a screen printing process, and want to get like screen printing prices. So you're not going to be able to do that, because screen printing takes a lot of setup. It's not worth it for a screen printer to do anything less than like 50 to 100 pieces, right? So on the DTG side, if you're talking about being fast, I would say once past the setup stage, screen printing is super fast. But the setup time is, if you want to take that into consideration, the setup time, it's going to slow that process down. With direct-to-garment printing, there's no setup time. You don't have to prep the machine. It's walk-up ready, especially with the Ricoh RI 1000 and 2000. It's walk-up ready. As long as you got it maintained, you run your print tests. You have done the alignment. All of these proper maintenance you've done on a regular basis, and your machine is walk-up ready. You just go ahead and hoop the shirt, and you're able to rip the design to and print. So there's virtually no setup time on DTG. But if you're talking about print speeds, you're not going to be as fast as screen printing past the setup time, right? However, one thing to also keep in mind, so kind of to summarize what I just said, DTG is kind of like no setup time, so you save a lot on the front end, and then you can still print out T-shirts at relatively faster speed, but you're not going to be able to compare it to screen printing, especially an auto screen printing machine, right? If you're talking about like a manual one that you have to like push the squidgy like on a manual basis, and you're doing it on your own, maybe it's comparable. Like it's probably DTG will be faster because you have to push it manually. But if you're comparing just automatic to automatic, the auto ones on the screen printers, I know for sure that they just run through the T-shirts super fast, and all like the limitation of how fast you can print on those machines is how fast you can hoop. So like if you just hoop it, you just press a button, it goes to the next station, you just keep on going. So that's the benefit of screen printing, right? But it has a lot of setup time versus virtually zero setup time for the DTG. However, one other thing besides time and speed that you need to take into consideration is that with direct-to-garment printing, you're able to print full color designs, like full color, very vibrant designs that you won't be able to do on a screen printing machine, right? Because in the screen printing process, you're doing different screens for different colors, so you're not going to be able to achieve like gradients and very nuanced designs where it's like different colors meshed over each other. It's gonna be like usually with screen printers they go a maximum of maybe like 6 colors or 8 colors. Beyond that, if you have a blend of colors, if you have a gradient, if you have these like very fine details of like a feather or something like that, those details are not be able to be achieved with a screen printing process, because you have to layer the designs, and it's just impossible to kind of layer all those gradients and achieve that look. So it's gonna look different versus the DTG process. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And with screen printing, because of the higher setup cost and the higher setup time, you can't print anything on demand. So like you have to get an order, you have to go through the setup process, and then you do a huge batch. With DTG, if the customer wants one T-shirt, you can just load it up and print it, right? They send you the design, you rip it, and you go ahead and print it. You can do that within 10-20 minutes versus that's impossible to do on the screen printing process. So that's just something, the similarities and differences between the two. But in terms of speed, I would say that once past the setup stage, screen printing is probably a lot faster in terms of volume, but it's for a different type of design. For DTG, it's also for more on demand and more kind of like full color designs that you won't be able to achieve otherwise. But that's the kind of speed element, and then easier, less work part that you're asking about, Jacob. Less work, I would say it's probably on DTG, right? Because screen printing, especially if you're doing the manual screen printer route, you have to push the squidgy. That's a lot more manual work. That's more work plus the actual setup on the screens. On DTG, you just press a button and the machine kind of does the work for you. So that's kind of how I would look at that. I hope that helps. Josh Fenner says, I just want the best system to do everything at home and start immediately. I'm a single father of $4. I would love to work from home. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want to get started with, Josh. I think first and foremost, you want to just determine what apparel decoration method you want to get started with, and then reach out to our team, and we'll be happy to kind of guide you through the particular products and the options within that apparel decoration method. So you got to first decide whether I want to do sublimation or direct-to-garment printing or embroidery, and decide that first before you kind of move forward. But any of these processes you can start from home. All right. Stephen Prince says how to avoid staining from pretreatment. So staining from pretreatment, that's just a matter of you kind of overspraying. Many times, if you overspray and then when you go and cure the actual pretreatment, it will leave like a mark. Especially because it kind of the excess kind of got left that stain when it's combined with heat. So making sure that you don't over pretreat is probably one way to avoid it. And then and another way is just to I think there's also other ways that you can maybe use some water and see kind of like if you can dampen the area and see if it kind of rubs off and not be as visible and or obvious. But that's something to also consider. But the best way to just to avoid it altogether is just to not over pre-treat that area. Edwin Ortiz says, "Is there an opportunity to visit your location?" Absolutely, we're definitely open, and a lot of customers kind of drop by. Just make sure that you speak with someone just to set an appointment, and that way someone's available to kind of take care of you or help you with what you need when you're actually here. Beth Riggs says, which platen would you suggest to purchase in addition to what comes with the machine? All depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to do kind of like more baby items, then you probably want to, or like youth sizes, you probably want to use get a small platen. If you're looking to do extra large sizes, you can also get the large platen. If you're looking to kind of do any like sleeves or socks, there's platens for those as well. So it just depends on what you need. Those are more specialty, but like usually people kind of go with a different size flat platen just to kind of get different options. If you're doing youth sizes, you probably want a smaller platen and vice versa. Okay, let's see some questions here. Let me go to YouTube really quick for some questions there. Okay, David Kaiser says, how much will the price of the RI1000 be with all extras? So speak with your rep. But essentially, and your next question about best RIP software for the RI1000. So RIP software is included. It's called ColorGate with the RI1000. So that's included in your package. But in terms of the price of the package, it's probably around $17,000 with the price of the package. Again, it includes the heat press, everything else that you need to get started, pretreatment liquid, spray gun, and what else? Any of the an extra set of ink cartridges, so you can have more than enough supply to get you started, and some samples of like pre-treated T-shirts as well from our partners. So you got a lot of stuff included in there. And then also the training is included, so you can attend that free of charge. That a lot of different companies don't do. So having the training will get you comfortable with your machine and be able to print your first design. Okay, Lucy Lou says, I'm doing embroidery, however, looking into DTG, DTF. Oh yeah, which by the way, speaking of DTF, in our last Facebook Live or live stream earlier this month, I did mention that the Ricoh RI1000 and 2000 now has the option to print DTF. You just need to update your software. I believe if you have the RI2000, you need to update your firmware. But your RIP software will now have options and settings for you to do DTF. Actually, I think we did an episode on YouTube just last week showing you how to do this process on the Ricoh machines. So essentially now for the same price, you're getting like two machines in one. You can print direct to garment, or you can print direct to film on the same machine, right? Just with different settings on the RIP software. So that's really great to have. And usually a DTF machine on its own separately will cost you easily $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, right? And that's free of charge. It's just we upgraded the software free of charge for you. To be able to kind of do that on your existing machine. So anybody new that's buying a DTG printer or getting into DTG with the RI1000 or 2000 that we sell here, you're essentially getting two machines for the price of one. Frank the Tank says pre-treat is hard. Yeah, it's not easy, that's for sure. But like I said, with anything, I think with the pre-treatment process, I compare it to like knowing your tensions and settings on the embroidery side also, right? So it's not going to be easy, but as long as you know what to look for and the right amount to use, the right liquid to use, and the right amount to use for different types of colors or different types of fabrics, having that all set up in your head and doing it enough times, it's going to be much easier. And you can also, if you think that pre-treating is too hard or you just don't want to deal with it, you can also buy pre-treated T-shirts, right? So we, our partner at Viper, that the one that's sponsoring the Viper Mini, actually, they actually also sell pre-treated T-shirts, right? So instead of buying like wholesale T-shirts blanks, you can get pre-treated T-shirts for a little bit extra price, obviously, because it's pre-treated and it's done for you. But you don't have to deal with it. It's already pre-treated, and then you just go ahead and load it and print. So if you want to do that and just skip the whole process, you're welcome to do that as well. It would be nice for you guys to make a video using a real pre-treat machine and how to avoid the pre-treatment box. Yeah, I think we can definitely make a note of that and do a future episode on that, on how to avoid like kind of the pre-treatment, yeah, I guess the pre-treatment box or the stain, so to speak. Okay. Lulu says, is the RIP software compatible with Mac? No, unfortunately not. The RI1000 and the 2000's RIP software, the color gauge software, is not compatible with Mac. It's only compatible with PC. Okay. Let me see what other questions here. Derek Richardson asks, are you guys having Deco Summit this year? Yes, we are. Absolutely. And actually, we're in the final phases of finalizing the venue. So stay tuned very, very soon. Tickets are probably going to go on sale starting next month. So we're very close to announcing it and making sure that it goes live and that therefore we can start selling tickets. But it's looking like it's going to be early October of this year. All right, so that's kind of the dates that we have. We're finalizing. We haven't announced the final dates yet because we're finalizing the venue and all the costs and everything that's associated, planning everything out. But that's very close. That's like 90% there. So I would suspect that in the next couple of weeks, in probably mid-April, late April, tickets are going to go on sale, and the early birds are going to get the biggest discounts to Deco Summit. And then the longer you wait, the higher the tickets are going to go up. For those of you that don't know what Deco Summit is, it's an annual conference that we have that is focused solely on education and just kind of networking with other people in the industry, listening to speakers and different learning seminars to kind of go over. We have different tracks on, like, if you want to focus on embroidery, if you want to focus on direct-to-garment printing, if you want to focus on white toner transfer printing and heat presses, we have all of that available this year. So a lot of different tracks for beginners, a lot of different tracks for more advanced people. Oh, and chroma on digitizing. We're doing a lot of classes on beginner chroma and more advanced chroma classes. And so it's going to be a huge event. We're probably expecting at least like 250 to 300 people this year. So and our venue can fit a lot more than that. So we're really kind of pushing for a bigger event this year. And there's going to be a lot of speakers. We have partners and speakers that's going to be there, different vendors that are going to be there if you want to kind of buy different products. Just a all around learning experience for three whole days to get to know the business side of things. I'll be speaking there along with other business leaders in this industry. A lot of other shops that we're inviting that are successful and maybe sharing their experience, speaker panels, etc. So just stay tuned for the schedule, but a lot planned for this year's Deco Summit, and a lot going to be a lot bigger And that's why we're kind of finalizing the final stages of the venue, and going live probably sometime next month. So once tickets go live and you're kind of in tune with our social media and on our email list, once tickets go live, that's going to be the early bird specials are going to be the heaviest discount. So make sure that you keep an eye out for that if you want to join this year. I'm just curious, like, who here has been to Deco Summit in the past? We've had 2 different years of Deco Summit in the past. Has anyone here on this live stream kind of been to ones in the past, either last year or in 2019? Let me know in the comments if you have. Okay. JC Production says, can you talk a little bit about the March Madness sale and what's the 0% financing for the people that have ordered that are in their first year of business? Okay. So, I mean, the 0% financing, it's based on personal credit. It's not on your business credit. So it doesn't really matter if you're in their first year of business. To qualify for the 0% financing, you do have to have, good personal credit. So we can run that with our partners and then be able to see what you qualify for. And if you qualify for the whole thing, there's no money down, and you can kind of get into a machine with 0 money down and 0% interest for 72 months. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if you don't qualify or you qualify partially for the 0% financing with personal credit, for business credit, we have other means of financing. We have like 3 or 4 different ways to get financed. So with business credit, you can use your business's financials and other things to get qualified for a business loan with the partner banks that we're partnering with. And so with that, if you're in the first year of business, there is going to be an interest rate associated with it. It depends on your business credit and how long you've been in business to kind of depend on that to determine that rate. But you can mix and match. You can kind of have some that are 0% financing if you qualify for some on the personal side, and then also the rest with the business loan. So just speak with one of our specialists here, and they'll be more than happy to walk you through the options and then going through each one to make sure that you can get into the machine that you want. Derek Richardson says, thanks. Looking forward to this year. I learned a lot in the last one. I encourage anyone who can make it to attend. I had a blast. Awesome. So good to see that you went last year. And Derek, hopefully we can see you again this year at Deco Summit. But yeah, the event is quite interesting to not only learn, but also to network with other decorators in the industry. It's a great event to do that. Peggy Rial says, will you all honor the tickets that was given as part of an embroidery purchase during 2020? No, unfortunately we won't. That was for 2020's event, and this year it will be for 2022. So that will not be honored for the past event. All right, back to some questions on Facebook or on Instagram. Let me see if there's any questions there. Okay. Okay, not much questions on Instagram. So if you have any questions, feel free to chime in below. I think I saw one about RIP software. Let me see here. So stitchemup.2 says, will you ever host full digitizing courses for Chroma? The small videos available aren't most informative. It would be great to have some sort of actual course considering the price. So one, if you have access to your customer portal, which you should, we have actual Chroma webinars. So you're probably just on the Chroma YouTube channel looking at the videos that we post there. Yeah, those are meant to be small tidbits of information to kind of get you to learn about different topics and different tools or features within Chroma. But if you're talking about like a specific, more lengthy topic in depth and follow along along with the trainer, we have free Chroma webinars every single week that we're hosting at different times. You can sign up for those on your customer portal, same way you signed up for your embroidery machine training, and or any training for that matter. You have to go through the customer portal to sign up for that. So you should use that as a resource. I mean, there's Chroma webinars every single week that we host. So that's one way to make sure that you get started there. And then the other thing is, come to Deco Summit. If you're looking to get more, really kind of delve into Chroma, we have like 2 whole days of Chroma classes. You can come here just for the Chroma classes if you want to, or you can jump into other sessions as well. So it's really up to you. But that's gonna be more kind of like classroom style, and you're gonna have a instructor sharing the screen, follow along on your computer, and actually kind of digitize something. So it just there's a lot of resources out there. You just gotta take advantage of it. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. We're kind of coming up to the top of the hour. We're gonna answer a couple of more, and then we'll kind of go through the giveaway that you guys are waiting for. All right, Angie Eckenhorst says, I really appreciate all the help and the videos. You cover so many things. Thank you for that, Angie. Yeah, so now the shipment answered, actually replied to another question that I guess Greg had. What kind of maintenance needs to be done on the DTG? Yeah, so you do have some weekly maintenances. Maintenances, I don't even think that's a word. You have some weekly maintenance on the machine that you do need to do, like cleaning the print heads, making sure that you're like that your white ink is circulating. Make sure you have enough white ink. Make sure that you're shaking the cartridges so that the white ink doesn't settle, right? Those things you kind of do on a regular basis. Then you have your monthly maintenance. Make sure that everything is lubricated on any shafts, things like that. So those things, we go through all of that, by the way, in the training process. So, and we also give you a post-training cheat sheets to make sure you do these things, because it can void your warranty if you don't maintain your machine properly. It's just like a car, right? Like if you don't do an oil change and you don't align your tires and all of those things, it's going to not last very long, right? Your tires are gonna break, and then you're gonna hear noises, and your car is not gonna run as smoothly as if you were taking care of it properly. So the same with embroidery machines, same with DTG printer. As I mentioned before, I think DTG is a little bit more intensive on the maintenance side versus embroidery, but embroidery is a little bit more hands-on with kind of like the tensions and things like that when you versus just pressing a button and printing. So right, so there's some trade-off there, but DTG, you gotta make sure that your maintenance is set up properly, and that you're doing the maintenance to the T every single time. Cynthia Lane says, does the DTG machine have a cap platen available? So no, unfortunately not, because DTG only prints on like flat type of items. You won't be able to print on a hat. You can use DTF though on a hat. So one thing I want to kind of mention there, you can do DTF on a hat. You can print on the film, right? And then you can cut the film and then you heat press it onto the cap, because you just need a hat heat press to transfer it onto. So, but you can't print directly onto the cap. Sylvia Martinez asks, when pre-treating both poly and cotton, do you have to wait for pre-treatment solution to finish before being able to pre-treat the other material? I'm not really sure kind of what you're asking, or what you're kind of picturing. But if you are pre-treating on poly and cotton, like if it's a poly cotton blend, you would just use something that's more for poly. That's the general rule of thumb there. Okay. Shanta Red says, what's the turnaround time from purchase to shipping for a DTG machine? So if you order right now during March Madness, probably turnaround time is around 2 weeks. Okay, so the machines are in stock, right? But just the order volume is probably around 2 weeks. Probably it will take a week to week and a half to actually get it shipped out, and then maybe another half week to get to you. So and depending on where you are. So but the machines are in stock, so it's not a huge turnaround time, but it's probably about a 2 week period. Could be sooner, just to be safe. Chanel Watson says, question, due to COVID, I was not able to attend Deco Summit that I was offered with my package. Will y'all be considering those that were affected and not able to attend? So as I mentioned, unfortunately, we can't. It's also, super, as you can imagine, impossible to kind of like track down everyone that it might have affected. And look, if you got the ticket along with the machine, but you weren't able to attend, I mean, it can't really roll over to this year. It's two separate events. So that's just something to consider, because we also give out the tickets based on capacity that we can hold, right? So that's something to consider as well. So that was for the capacity last year, and we won't be able to roll over to this year. Okay. Edwin Ortiz says, I really need to attend Deco Summit this year. Well, I think this one will be big. This is the third one that we're doing, and I think it will be pretty epic. Okay. All right. I think those are mainly all the questions that were there. Last couple of ones. One from Jancy Caddis, Jancy Lake Caddis. Is there somewhere to look for more in-depth information on Colorgate software? Somewhere that explains more about settings and what to do with them if you change them. So we go through a Colorgate software training on the DTG training that's included with your purchase. So ask questions there and go through more in depth there. But in the future, we're also going to come out with more in-depth tutorials and videos, probably on the Colorgate software. But you can either speak with our support team, so put in a ticket to support and ask some questions there, or making sure that you ask your questions during your training. Stephen Prince says, can you wash the garment right after you cure the print, or do you need to wait a day or two? So you don't need to wait a day or two. After you cure it, that's what that process is for. You've cured it, it's dry, and it's good to go. So someone asked about pre-treating front and back. Please explain the process. So you would just pre-treat the front, cure it, and then pre-treat the back, cure it. So that's how you would do it. If you're printing on both sides, you would probably pre-treat it, cure it, and then print it and cure that part. Make sure that design is all good before going on to the back. You don't want to pre-treat front and back and then have one side wet or something when you actually print. Tom Hanna says, do you have one-on-one training for machine repair at your facility? So yes, we do have a kind of a technician training, so more in-depth advanced troubleshooting training that's available. It is for an additional fee, so speak with your service team rep for that. There is an additional fee for that, because obviously we have to dedicate a technician to you to kind of tear apart the machine. You have to know which machine you want to learn on. So there is a fee per day on that training, and if you're interested in that, you can get in touch and kind of sign up for that. Donna Hagel Owen, is there a place to find all the buttons in Chroma to do a very beginner basic video? I love my machine 1501. Yeah, go to the Chroma channel. There's probably a lot of basic tutorial videos there. The Chroma YouTube channel, just to be clear. David, extremely blessed Austin. Can I get a free machine to try? I wish I could do that for everyone. All right. I think that's it. Okay, so I got all those questions. I got through most of the questions, so hopefully I was able to answer quite a bit. So kind of to wrap things up, I wanted to reiterate some of the sales that we have going on for those of you that joined us late and might have missed the first portion. We do have our March Madness sale. Some people asked some questions on that. So to reiterate, our March Madness sale is going on from now till April 8th at 6 p.m. So if you inquire with your sales rep before that time and get a machine, then you're locked into to those deals. And we have a couple of deals going on. So number one, on the embroidery side, we do have 0% financing for as low as $130 per month. Okay, that's really 1 to 2 small orders per month. You're able to cover that monthly payment. So $130 per month on the embroidery side. Interest-free financing. You have free shipping up to $1,500. So if you look, the bigger machine you order, say that you order a two head machine or a 4-head machine, right? That shipping is going to be obviously a lot bigger than a single head machine. So you save upwards of $1,500 depending on what machine you get for free shipping. Next, a free digitizing software upgrade. So if you're buying a commercial single head machine, you get upgraded to Chroma Plus. If you buy a multi-head machine, you get automatically upgraded to Chroma Lux. So those are kind of free upgrades that you can get. And then if you are wanting any upgrades and paying for additional upgrades, you can get that at 20% off. So that can stack on top of this free upgrade promo. All right, so not only do you get zero interest financing, free shipping, and the free digitizing software upgrade, all of that combined is easily thousands of dollars of value. I mean, just free shipping is like $1,500. Just Chroma upgrades another $1,400. So that's plus any of the 20% off. You're looking at easily close to $3,000 of free stuff there. If you purchase during this time. All right, so that's on the embroidery side. On the direct-to-garment side, which we cover a lot today in our pre-treatment kind of topics, and a lot of people ask great questions about the DTG process. If you're looking to get into direct-to-garment printing, make sure you check out the link down below that our team has pinned for the direct-to-garment link. That's going to be also 0% financing for 72 months, payments as low as $235 per month. And free shipping as well, and free shipping goes upwards of $800 depending on where you are and what machine you're getting, either the RI1000 or the upgraded RI2000. For those of you that don't know, by the way, the RI2000 is like an upgraded version of the RI1000 in that it has two carriages, so that it has a carriage and a print head dedicated to white. So that instead of printing white first on a dark garment and then going back and printing color, it can print white and color at the same pass, So it really cuts your production time in half and is a lot faster in the print speed. Beyond that, it also has greater ease of use in the maintenance. It has a head cleaning jig, so instead of kind of using swabs manually to clean your print heads, you can have a head cleaning jig and press a button and it will do it for you. So those things are also kind of things to keep in mind on the RI2000 as well. But that's really for someone that's really looking to pump out huge amounts of volume and make sure that they can get everything they need to get done within a short period of time. That's going to cut your production time in half and be able to offer you more profit per hour if you have the volume to justify that. All right. Okay, so that's on the DTG, and then last but not least, we have sales going on our shop as well. And we have 10% off on the heat presses and sewing machines. So if you're looking to complement your existing embroidery business with some heat presses, or your printing business with some heat presses to add on, or you're looking to maybe sew some caps with patches, sew some patches onto caps, you can get our post-bed sewing machines as well that we have available. All of those are 10% off plus free shipping. So that is the March Madness sale on the shop there, shop.ricoma.com. And then 20% off any embroidery machine accessories like your belt hoop, your 8-in-1 device, laser device, etc., as well as Chroma software upgrades. All right, site-wide 20% off on those items as well. So that's all discounted from now till April 8th before 6 p.m. So once that ends, all of these discounts are going to go away, both on the embroidery machines, DTG printers, and on the online shop as well. So if you're just looking to, maybe you're not getting into another machine currently, but you're looking to kind of add on some accessories and other things, make sure you check that out on shop.ricoma.com. Alrighty, and last but not least, as I mentioned, we are going to be giving away a Viper Mini pretreatment machine, thanks to our sponsor over there. This is going to be super helpful if you're looking to kind of get started in DTG, or if you're looking, if you're already in DTG and you have a spray gun or something more manual. This Viper pretreatment, the Viper Mini pretreatment machine, valued at close to $1,500, is going to be a lifesaver to get you started in the pretreatment process. I hope that you can put some of the tips that we mentioned into good use with this pretreatment machine that we're giving away. Thanks to our sponsor, and so make sure to kind of check that out. So we're gonna go ahead and my team is just telling me the winner of this giveaway, and let's see here. The winner is gonna be Angie Eichenhorst. Angie Eichenhorst, you are the winner of the Viper Mini. So congrats to you for winning that. I hope you enjoy and put it to good use. Make sure to comment below just to make sure that we are actually seeing you here. And Jacob there said before I announced it, if I win, I'm buying a DTG. Maybe better luck next time. Okay, so Angie, I can order. Okay, I do see that Angie is there. Just make sure you comment down below. Comment down below to make sure that we see that you're here, and therefore we can contact you and make sure, or else we're gonna have to announce another winner. I saw that she was there. Oh, she was there? Okay, great. Okay, so congrats, Angie. Our team will be in touch with you just to get your information and be able to ship that out to you. I hope you put it to good use. I hope that you put it to good use with some of the tips that I mentioned in the beginning of this session about how to pre-treat properly. So great. Now, to wrap things up, guys, I hope this was helpful to everyone. I hope that if you're looking to get started into DTG, check out our March Madness sale that's going on. We have the comments pinned down below on the links. Even if you're not into DTG right now, I hope some of these tips were able to help you, so you kind of get your mind going on getting started in this business if you are interested in that in the future. So anyways, but we kind of spend an hour every month just to kind of answer your guys' questions and hopefully give a little bit of tips and tricks on a particular topic. We're going to kind of keep this format going forward and hopefully add some value that way. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. I hope you guys were able to get some of your questions answered. If you didn't, we also on a frequent basis, we kind of go on Instagram stories. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, make sure to follow us on Instagram so that when we post an Instagram story about asking questions to feature on our next YouTube video, you can get your question answered if you kind of type in a question there. So make sure you contribute to our Instagram and follow us on all of our social channels down below. We're very active on Facebook, obviously. We're active on Instagram, as I mentioned, and very active on TikTok for some entertaining content. So make sure you check that out and follow us on all our channels down below. What is it?
The Viper's available in our shop.
Oh, okay. I'll just mention that another time. But what was I gonna say? Last section of that. Anyways, so yes, I hope you found this information very, very helpful, and definitely follow us on all of our social channels down below. Again, on YouTube, we have a lot of great content and long form tutorials and short form content on shorts as well, just to give some content there. And if you're looking for some entertaining content, follow us on TikTok for some entertaining stuff, and definitely follow us on Instagram so that the next time we ask an Instagram stories to pitch in for some questions. If you didn't get your question answered this time around, you can pitch in there, and hopefully you can see it on a next future YouTube episode. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next month. Take care.